The following program was produced by an independent community producer. The opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the ECAT staff or board of directors.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Topic Time with Harrison Young. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Topic Time with Harrison Young. We are doing another Zoom show today to the Great North, Canada, well, the Great White North, I should say, even though I don't think there's any snow up there now. Now it's all orange because of the brush fires in Quebec that have totally apocalypsed our northeast or parts of it, but fortunately not where I am. And I have an awesome guest today. He's a radio producer, I believe. He's in Ottawa, the capital of Canada. But before we get to him, got to read these incredible underwriters, and then we will commence per usual. So we have the Cornerstone Barbershop in Pembroke. We have Kingston Auto Body in Kingston. We have John's Greenhouses and Florist Shop in Brockton. We have Comfort Upholstery in East Bridgewater. We have Lynch's Towing, Auto, Cycle, and Truck Center in Brockton. One number for towing, one number for projects. Always looking for new scrap metal wheels, anything my pal Lynchy can handle over there, and he handles it all. We got Auto Town, Auto Glass, and Auto Body in Abington. We got Eli's Auto Care in Taunton. We got Physiologist 101 Barbershop in Brockton. We got 111 Tattoo Collective in Brockton. We got A1's Tire and Auto Center in Brockton. I'm always looking for new service writers and techs, and even if you don't know how to do it, maybe you know someone that does, send them on by. We got the Gunrunner LLC, the Second Amendment Freedom Store in Middleborough. We got Countertops Express in North Attleboro, experts in the installation and removal of quartz and granite. We got Salon Giovanni in Marshfield. We got Grant's Rental in Bridgewater. We got Chapin Sheds in Whitman. We got RW Carpet and Flooring in Norton, covering floors for 50 years. We got Doggy Boutique, all-breed professional grooming for dogs and cats, run by my great next-door neighbor, Debbie Siddell in Brockton. We got Easton Fitness, right in the Village Shops in Northeastern, and we got Joe's Diner in Taunton, and I want to thank you guys very much. And now officially, Mr. Jimmy, how do you say your last name? Katselis?
It's close enough. You can just call me Jimmy Harrison.
I'll call you Jimmy
That's
Harrison,
fine.
okay. I couldn't resist that one.
I love that.
You know, hey, you can't have fun in life. You can't be funny. You can't be frivolous. Why bother? All right, so you're a radio producer, and I noticed at first you were reluctant to do the show, but then you realized that you can still look good in front of the camera even if you're not usually in front of it. And obviously that's the case. You produce a radio show up there in Ottawa, in the nation's capital.
That's right. I've been here for, I think, about 5 years now. So I've been in radio for quite a while. But in Ottawa for about 5, and went from being a weekend announcer to morning show producer. So
Okay.
just to kind of going with it. So I work with a really, really good team. Can I plug them?
Sure, plug them and tell them what kind of show. It's just a talk show with, we have people call in the morning hour, during the rush, during the traffic hour.
They do all kinds of things. It's more of a music-based show, but the Boom Breakfast with Tim and Colleen, who are also found in Barrie, Ontario, too. Two super, really, really talented people that I'm fortunate enough to actually cross paths with. So I'm actually kind of lucky because, Harrison, I'm sure you've worked jobs. I know you've been a broadcaster too, and you've worked with people that you're like, I don't know how much longer I can work with them. That isn't the case with the two people that I work with. So I'm actually lucky.
Same here. It used to be, but it isn't anymore. So I know exactly what you're getting at. Totally. Okay. So you got Jim and Colleen, and so how many in the staff did you have there?
Staff for the whole station.
Not the whole station, just for your show. How many people help you produce it?
There's about 4
I want to know
of
about
us.
all the personalities that you work with.
There's about 4 of us. The two main hosts are Tim Morgan, Colleen Rushholm, who are veterans in the radio world. They've worked all over the place. I know Tim has worked out in Calgary at one point, Vancouver. He's kind of bounced around. Colleen worked in Toronto. She's moved all over the place. Hamilton.
Okay.
Now Ottawa. So we're very, very lucky to have her. You should check them out. Canadian radio is, I'm sure it's not that dissimilar to what you.
Oh, no, of course it's not. I mean,
guys have,
now,
right?
are you affiliated with the CBC up there?
No, the CBC is something else altogether different. That's all a government run.
Oh, it is. That sounds kind of
Yeah,
socialist to me, but maybe that works for you
that's
guys up there.
you know what? No comment there, but it's probably politically where it runs. It's a lot closer to NPR.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you're talking, it's more like
Yeah,
educational.
yeah. So they do all kinds because I think CBC has a few different. They do talk, news. They have a couple of music-based frequencies too. I should
Okay.
know what they are, being Canadian, but I'm not up to
No,
date
no,
on all
listen,
that.
there's nothing, if you, I mean, you know what you know, but you know what your
Yeah,
deal is. So your show, it's just basically a morning entertainment show. Is it FM or AM?
it's FM.
It's FM. Okay. So that's what it
It's
is. It's a
FM.
regular, like, it's a regular, Jimmy in the morning kind of thing. Are you the head
It's
are you like the head well, I mean, you're a team. Like we got down here, we got Kiss 108, we got Casson, that's Boston, obviously. We got Mix
Yeah.
104.1, and we also have down in Providence, Rhode Island, because our 6 states are pretty close. We got Doug and Jen on WSNE, which is now called Now 93.3. So I know how that works. I listen to the radio every day down here. I love my tunes. We got the top 40 tunes up there, right? Adult Contempo.
Yeah, we get to top 40. They're more classic hits. And you know what, Harrison, I
Okay.
apologize for not really studying. I should have studied the Boston market because the
No, no,
only
listen,
station that
why would you have time to study the Boston market? You got your life up there. That's what I'm
I
for.
should I should know a little bit more, but I'm trying to think what the closest format is. Because the only station I know from Boston was probably a classic rock station, the WBCN, right?
Yep, WBCN is long gone. WBCN is now
Always
sports radio.
sports talk, right?
Yep, sports talk, yes. And yeah, I mean, I actually, we all loved back in the '70s. We had this guy Charles Laquadera. He was the big cheese on
Oh, I've
WBCN.
heard of him.
Oh yeah, he lives in
Yeah.
Hawaii now. He's retired and living the great life down there. Where the temperature never drops below 82, I guess.
Nice.
And the waves are always up, and and the air is so. If you ever watch, you get Seinfeld up there. The air is so dewy sweet. The postman was going to leave, and he said, "You never have to stick." Newman, the postman, was saying, "I'm going to be transferred to Hawaii, where the air is so dewy sweet, you never have to lick the stamps."
Hello, Newman.
Yeah, you get it, I guess. Okay, right.
We get Seinfeld up here, Harrison. Of
Of course
course
you
we
do.
do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
part of the offbeat of civilization too. Well,
Oh
tell
my
me
God,
about
yeah,
now.
yeah.
But I want to profile you specifically. Now, looking at you right now, I tell you something.
Yeah.
You'd be a good Newman. You have sort of a comedic look yourself. Have you ever done acting, comedy, or anything like that?
I've done stand-up comedy a handful of times. Acting, I'm way too shy to be in front of the camera. I'm a character at work. I used to joke around with everyone, but
Oh, I
I'm
know. I
just
can see that. Well, see. Therein lies a paradox. Like you say, you're too shy to be in front of a camera, but you're not too shy to stand up in front of 400 new people you don't know and talk about your life to make them laugh. Isn't that? I mean, so what? So it seems to me that all you need is a little bit of discipline, and you probably could be good enough to be in front of the camera if you wanted to be.
I'm too lazy. And first of all, whenever I did stand up, it was never in front of 400 people. A lot of open mics, a lot of coffee shops. Because with stand up, it's so interesting. I'm going to only speak for myself, and I was just an open mic hack, so I'm just very low level comedy when I did do it. But the first time, it was magical. I was amazing. The second time, my ex-wife now pulled me aside and said, "I don't know what you were doing out there. That was more of a best man speech."
Wow.
It just was, yeah, and it was so discouraging. But you go up and do it. You're gonna have great nights. You're gonna
Well,
have
wait a
bad
minute.
nights,
Now,
right?
now listen. You're kind of painting a picture for me here. You say this was your wife. Now she's your ex-wife. Did this critique of your work or negative critique have something to do with why you're not with her anymore? I have to
She was
ask.
gone right after that. God, no. Of
Okay.
course not. No. The stand-up had nothing to do with it. Believe me.
Okay, I'm sure it didn't, but yeah, but I mean, it sounds to me like she shattered your confidence. I mean, maybe you did better than you thought, so you never went up a third time. Is that it?
No. I went up several times after that, but
Oh, you did.
but she was totally correct. She was.
Oh, okay.
I was just lazy. I didn't go over my stuff, and I thought I got this. And as soon as you start getting overly confident, that's not a good place to be.
Oh well, I never would have thought that. I figured when you're doing stand up, you want it to flow, and you want to feel confident. You want to feel, you want to feel articulate. and you want to you want to feel like you got the audience reeled in. Like if I'm a vegan, but I'm going to use a fishing analogy that you got to reel, that you're reeling them in basically.
It's, you know what, I'm the only analogy, and this is probably going to be horrible, Harrison, so I apologize. It's almost like being in love. You want to feel those butterflies in your stomach. You know what I mean? You want that nervousness. That's always good.
Okay, I know that's, you don't have to apologize. That's interesting. I never would have thought that, but okay. All right, now you've been doing this for well, tell me what you were like as a kid, though. Let's talk about that. I like to profile my guests, their childhood and find out what they got. What they were doing as children led to what they're doing now, because I know that's all tied. It's all tied in. Life is like that.
Yeah.
It's a cycle, as they say. So let's talk about that.
I was just kind of a really shy, weird kid.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just I was always at home.
Yep.
I'd love to be in the basement. I always soaked up a lot of pop culture stuff. I remember my parents got a little television for my room. And this would have been in probably the early 90s, but there was a TV station that used to air the old Superman episodes with George Reeves.
Them too.
Black and white. And I used to just get obsessed with that and watch these old, that were probably, what year would that have been? 50s, 60s, early 60s, maybe?
I was a kid in the 60s, so that's when I used to watch it. I was born in the late 1959, just about 3 months before when Alaska and Hawaii were added to the lower 48 states, and the Edson and the DeSoto were scrubbed as cars in all states in the United States. So I know that. So that's my recollection was that's when we had it on, and we had it on the Superman. I didn't watch it on network TV. I watched it when it was on. It was already on in syndication by the time I was watching it regularly on the afternoon.
Yeah, but I'd be watching this in the 90s as a child, or late 80s, early 90s as a child. I was just such a little weird kid that got obsessed with pop culture, with like television and.
Well, no, you're not the only one. I was obsessed with that in the 60s and 70s, and I'm still obsessed with it.
Yeah, this is 30 years later. I was a little kid, and I'm like, looking back, I'm like, what kind of weirdo little kid was I?
Yeah, but whatever it was, it obviously it influenced you in a positive way, because it's cool to know stuff, and it's cool to be. Everyone likes to be entertained. There's nothing wrong with that, and that's what you were doing. You were entertaining yourself, and that's what we live for. Let's face it, the world is kind of a messed up place, so we need all the gratification we can get. That's my take on it.
No, you're right there. No, I can't argue with that. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff.
You're not hurting anybody just watching Superman. I mean, geez. Well, were you sort of like introverted? You didn't go outside and hang with other kids? Is that it?
No, I hated that. I just loved to play my Nintendo, watch my...
You're a slightly younger inflection of me, because I was the same way as a kid. I used to be a chunky kid. I was fat as a kid. You can't tell looking at me now, because I'm a vegan and I'm ripped to the core. But when I was a kid, and the kids in my neighborhood, they'd pick on me, and they'd pick on me in school because they were the same kids that lived in my neighborhood and went to school with me on the bus. And my younger brother, who was more of a social, interactor than I ever was, and he still is. He lives here in town, in the town of Easton, Mass. He always gravitated to the other kids, and the kids would come over to be at our house, and they'd pick on me. Even in my house, I couldn't get rid of them. So I know what it's. So I know. I mean, I don't know if all you got picked on, but I get picked on terribly. No respect.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, I was the same way.
Yeah, so I get it. I totally understand that, and the fact that it looks like both of us have come a long way since that. During those torrid years, obviously.
You know what? Looking back, they were fun years. I wouldn't change it for anything, because now I just know a whole bunch of weird pop culture stuff that people, because I work with a lot. There's some younger members of our staff, and they look at me like, I don't know who you're talking about right now.
Yeah. And you're not, if you were doing this in the 80s and 90s, you got to be at least 20 years my junior. I'm 63 and a half. You're probably in your 40s, I'm guessing.
44 this month, yeah.
Okay. As long as we're on the subject, I have a photographic memory for dates. So if you told me a date of birth, I could tell you what day of the week you were born on and what I was doing. If you were born in June of '79, right?
Yeah.
Well, what Jay? If you tell me the date, I'll tell you what day of the week it was and what I was doing. I know exactly what I was doing in June of '79.
Oh, 19th of June. What day was that?
In '79, right?
Yeah.
It was a Tuesday.
It was a Tuesday.
course, I
was a
told you.
Tuesday.
This is what I do. I actually went to a shrink session that day too, by the way. I had an episode. Listen, let me tell you something. I wasn't always as jolly as I am now. In 1979, I went through a rough patch and I attempted suicide, and my parents thought it was a drug trip, which it was, but I was afraid they were going to throw me out on the street, and I wasn't working, and I was afraid that living on the street would be the worst of the two evils than being dead. At least being dead, I'd be at peace. So I tried it, crossed over, came back. So my parents said, you're going to have to start seeing a shrink to talk about what your issues. And so I had this therapist in Lexington, Massachusetts, named Dr. Dr. Gordon. She was an old woman or something. So for the next couple of months, I'd go to her every Tuesday. And June 19th of 1979 was my second session with her. My first one was on the 5th. So it was my third, actually. So we went 5th, the 12th, and the 19th. So that was my third session. And I thought she seemed like she was getting through to me, and I was really enjoying her counseling. And then she decided maybe I should be institutionalized for a while. And when that happened, my parents said, you don't have to see her anymore. So I mean, yeah. So I have a dramatic past, without a doubt, but I make light of it.
Well, good on them for not wanting to follow doctor's orders. That would have been her. I can't imagine.
No, we actually did. What we did was we went on July 14th of 1979. Yeah. That was a Saturday. We went and we visited this institution, and I got to see the inside of it, and everybody in there was pretty messed up. So my parents thought, So they said, you don't have to do this. This isn't right. You're not gonna get the help you need here. And that wasn't the first time. The first time was 12 years earlier in 1967, when my parents were at their wits' end, and they about 3 or 4 shrinks told them I was a psycho, and they tried to have me committed then too to a hospital for emotionally disturbed children in Providence, Rhode Island, but they couldn't afford it. $10,000 tuition, which is more than most colleges charge today. So I lucked out with that too. So I know what it's like to be, I mean, at least it sounds to me like you made the most of your childhood, and you wouldn't change it. And that's great. I'm just glad mine is over and I'm doing what I'm doing now, instead of, taking the road where I could have taken, which is to the end and never back. So, I mean, I look at life as, like I said, everything happens for a reason. And sometimes you go through the bad stuff and you come back stronger. I think that's definitely the case. And but sometimes it takes so long to go through this and then come back with something better but you never see it coming until it does. And that's been the story of my life, at least for the last 20 years or so, which is incredible.
Well, there's actually a book that I've been he's been dead now for what, I think 12 years. I'm an Apple fanboy, Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs, yeah.
But Walter Isaacson, before he died, shadowed him, followed him around, and wrote the autobiography. And he has so many great quotes. One of them is, "The journey is the reward.
Yeah,
not
exactly.
Always the destination." And the other Steve Jobs quote that I love, because he was such a notorious a-hole.
Yeah.
He said, if you want to make people happy, go sell ice cream.
Oh, no kidding. Okay. I didn't. What was Isaacson? Was he a computer geek too?
No, Walter Isaacson had written, he's a pretty accomplished biographer, I guess. I think he wrote a couple other biographies. I can't think of them off the top of my head. But Walter Isaacson wrote the final Steve Jobs book.
Oh, he did? Okay. So they worked together.
Yeah.
Then.
They would hang out together, and he would kind of shadow him. It's a very interesting story.
I know that. I knew the name Walter Isaacson. But okay, that's great. So, did you go to college for radio up there?
No, I actually went to. I dropped out of film and television school.
You dropped out. Okay.
That was I dropped out. I got into radio when I was, I think, 17 or 18 years old.
Okay.
Through an internship program. Then I think when I was about 22, decided to take a night course for film and TV, which I always love. Everybody loves film and TV. And then I think about a semester and a half in, or two semesters in, I'm like, this is way too hard. I'm making money in radio. I'm going to stick with this and see where this leads me.
Okay, so you already had a gig at a radio station before, and you were just seeing.
Oh yeah.
You were testing the waters, basically.
Yeah, because I thought I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go and punch up scripts. I'm gonna be the next Quentin Tarantino.
Okay.
I'm like, I can barely write my name down. Never mind write a full motion picture movie. So I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna stick with radio. I love it. I still have a passion for it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's great because the fact that you were willing to try different things and just to see what works for you, and that's the way we should all, create success. Everything in life is trial and error. You try one thing. I've done some different things too. I've written a couple of books. I wrote a self-published book in the '90s of short stories, and I went around selling it, and I did pretty well. I did better than I thought I would, but I never got it really, marketed royally like I wanted to. But it's still, I say, it was my final number one. It was my final great accomplishment of the 20th century because it coincided right with the end of the century. Came out in late 1999. And number two, it's the greatest book. I say it's the greatest book of short stories ever written too. And I've gotten some pretty good reactions from people that have read it. But I guess in the worldwide market, in the worldwide scheme of literature, it's not really considered top notch. But I'm so glad I did it because I never thought when I started it, putting these stories together, that I'd have enough material to do a book. It took, like I said, it took me the entire, like I might have mentioned, it took me the entire decade of the '90s to start it and then finish it. Until I didn't even realize until after after several years that I had enough material to create a book. And then all of a sudden I found myself just banging out more stuff. And then I said, I got 50,000 words. Let's do a book. And I found a professor.
That's pretty. Now, Harrison. Sorry to
No, go
cut
ahead.
you off. Because I tried to do some research. I've been watching your videos, but you have a background in broadcasting, not just television, but in radio. Am I correct?
Oh, I've done
with
radio
that?
stuff. Sure. I did. I did in 31 years ago in 1992. I ran the board for a local talk radio station in our area. It's not in business anymore, but yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of stuff. I mean, I have 2 college degrees in communications. We did video. I've done new journalism. I've done some sports writing. I've done some associated. Have you ever done any writing, by the way? Done any blogging or done any journalism?
Some blogging, but again, that's something just because I don't have. Yeah,
Well,
I
you're
don't
happy
have
with doing what you're doing, but I'm just
diplomas
trying to find out.
behind me, but yeah, I've some blogs out there whenever because I've hosted radio shows in the past, the morning show in the past, and I've written blogs, and I actually preferred that as an outlet. And for what it's worth, my ex-father-in-law would always say, "You should be writing for the newspaper." I don't know if he was just blowing smoke, but it was very flattering nonetheless, right?
Well, he knows you're smart, and you have a lot of.
Yeah,
I mean, communication. There's all kinds of ways of channeling it, and that's why
yeah.
doing what you do, doing what I do, and everything. So do you give like tickets away to concerts too? Some radio stations do that down here, or other things, prizes, or do you interact with the public during the radio show in the morning a lot? Do they call in?
All
Do you banter with them and that kind of thing?
all the time.
Well, I
I'm
figured
trying to
that.
think the
Yeah.
last concert tickets that we gave away. God, we gave away so many. We gave Tears for Fears. They're playing in Montreal, so
Wow.
we gave tickets away for that. Queen and the Lambert lead singer. I'm trying to think what other Guns N' Roses tickets because they're also in Montreal.
Wow.
Yeah, we do. We
So
give away
I
all.
assume you probably touch base with some of these musicians, right, or not?
Nah, rarely will radio's so changed.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we're kind of I shouldn't be saying this. We're kind of last on the list of yeah, of
Well, I know
people to
I
get
know the people when they have
and
to handle it, it's done through syndication, and all you and it's
yeah.
yeah, you're in the low end of the echelon when it comes to the actual interactions with the big with the musicians. That's handled by the higher ups in the corporate office, I assume, right?
No, we still do the way it's done now. It's it's almost done through, let's say, because the company that I work for is a large corporation. I don't even know how many radio stations. I think 40 plus radio stations, television stations. So what they do is they will do one national interview. Let's say I'm trying to think the last big interview. Let's say Taylor Swift.
Okay.
She has a new album. So
Right.
somebody from Toronto will do the interview, and then we'll share that through all our social media feeds.
Okay.
But we'll brand it as a local radio station.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's
So
right. That makes sense. The syndication and everything. Oh, okay.
so it'll be what someone will interview whoever. Tears for Fears, let's say those are two guys from Tears for Fears. Then we'll share it on our social media feeds, and it'll be like Boom 99.7 presents. Here's an exclusive interview with so and so from Tears for Fears.
Sweet. Now, Boom 99.7. That's your title of your station. I love it.
That's it. Yeah.
Wow,
yeah.
that's a
great
coolest,
station.
That's the coolest radio. That's the coolest logo for a radio station I've ever heard. And we got a lot of them down here.
You got to see our logo is actually I don't even know what you call it, Harrison. If anyone's going to answer it, you would. It's the little adapter for the 45s. What do you call that? Does that even have a name?
The little adapters.
The little adapter. The little snake, or the little 3-prong thing, and you put it in the 45.
You know something? I don't know what it's called either. I know what you're talking about. I went into a music store one day a bunch of years ago, and I said, "Can you give me what you call that thing that you stick in a 45?" And he goes, "You mean something to play it with?" So see, the guy at the station, the guy at the music store didn't know either. So no problem.
Okay.
Oh, well, guess what? Guess what, Jimmy? We're down under 5 minutes. I hope you had fun talking to me.
I had a great time. I'm glad that you coaxed me into this.
I'm glad I did too. You were a great guest. So that having been said, what I want you to do real quick is to look at your image there and give shouts out to a few people that are going to see the show, and then we'll wrap the show up with my music the way we began it.
Oh my God. Okay. So Tim and Colleen, I hope I didn't embarrass you guys. Jess, hi. Someone that I've been talking to online. This is me being interviewed. And also my friend Ashley, who actually lives in Boston, and I should know where. I'm sorry.
I'll tell you what, any of these people want to do my show, have them contact me. You have my digits, we'll get them on. I'm getting more people from word of mouth now than ever before.
You should get, you know what? I'm going to talk to my two hosts. They're two of the
funniest. Yeah, definitely. Just give it. You don't have to preach. You don't have to sell it to me. I know. I'd love to have them on. Just give them my digits and have them contact me, and we'll get them on.
I will absolutely do that.
Before we wrap the show up, is there anything coming up in your life that you think's worth mentioning that you might have overlooked just in the next few weeks or whatever? If not, that's fine. But I'm just double checking.
Yeah, I got a birthday coming up on the 19th.
Oh yeah, the 19th. Big 4-4. I won't forget. I'll acknowledge you on Facebook. I always do when people that are friends of mine. Wow. Okay, there you go. That's not far off. It's 11 days from now. Cool. Yeah. All right, I'm going to ask you one more favor. When we wrap the show up, will you stick around and do a pic for Facebook? My tech guy will take it, and then we'll tag you in it. And if you want to tag me, that would be great too.
Whatever you need, you let me know.
Okay, that's all I need. All right, so we're going to wrap the show up. Okay, folks, see you next time. Have a great week. Take care. Signing off. Now.